Hey, this is going to be around about 50 to 60 minutes worth of a warm-up flow. I've just got up, so it's going to be similar to the other 30-minute, but a little bit more. Maybe we'll do some handstands, maybe we'll do some back bends. I don't know. Let's see how it goes. Start on your knees for me. And give your hands a bit of a shake out. You could do the Queen on speed wave and see if you can speed that up. And see if you can get the pads of your thumbs vibrating. And then go back into some shaking and get some blood flow into the hands. And then give those fists a really good squeeze. And give them another shake. That's Neo. Let's squeeze. Excellent. And then bring those hands down onto the ground for me. And just bending, little crack, and then bending at the pads for me. See if you can get that 90-degree angle with the fingers. And just keep it moving. Don't commit to the stretch. It's just dynamic stretching. And then rolling from your first fingers to your pinky fingers. Beautiful. And then turning those hands over backwards. And gently trying to straighten those arms out. So remember, not weight bearing to start with. And just opening up through the back of the wrists. And turning those hands around the clock. So left hand is pointing towards 1 o'clock, right hand is pointing towards 11 o'clock. I struggle to straighten my arms out only because of the congestion in the back of my wrists. So just work your hands through the clock. Give another little shake out if you need to, if they're feeling a little bit congested. And then bring those hands down into weight bearing. Shift the weight slightly forward. Over the hands and do a circle. Take that circle back the other way. Just noticing what it's feeling like in the back of the wrists. Elbow eyes in front, elbow eyes behind. Elbow eyes in front, elbow eyes behind. Nice, and turning the hands out like penguin hands and just shifting the weight left to right, taking it around in a circle. Just trying to create a little bit more room in the back of the wrists. Elbow eyes in front, elbow eyes behind. Elbow eyes in front, elbow eyes behind. And then slowly rotating those hands or those fingers back towards you. Gently shifting the weight back towards the fingers. Slight little circle. My right hand's a bit sore today. And elbow eyes in front, elbow eyes behind, if you can. There's not a lot of movement there for me. And giving them a little bit of a shake out, whether you're holding onto the bones and just giving the wrist a bit of a wiggle. Taking it back into that internal rotation, so turning those hands inwards, walking through the clock. Maybe even knuckles together, elbows in line with each other, and just trying to straighten those arms out. Whoa. Not a lot of action today for me. It's a bit tight and a bit cold. If I straighten my fingers out, I can get straight arms. Nice. And then just bringing your forearm down onto the ground. Take your knee of your opposite foot and pop it in towards the elbow.
Left, right, forward and back. Left, right, forward and back. And just moving that knee down towards the wrist a little bit more. Left, right, forward and back. You can let the fingers curl open, or you can block them open if you want. Left, right, forward and back. Left, right, forward and back. All the way down towards the wrist. I'm just taking my knee back up towards my elbow joint and just going back over those muscles in my forearms. Beautiful. Other side. Opposite knee in towards the elbow. Left, right, front and back. Just looking for the tender bits. Wow, there we go. Slowly working that knee down towards the wrist. Front, back, left to right. Oh, front, back, left to right. Again, you can prise your fingers open if you want to, or you can just let them curl up. And working that knee down towards the wrist. If you want to just take it back upwards, if you found some sore spots in the middle. That was Yoda.
Awesome thing to do at the end of the day if you are a person that uses your hands for your job, to loosen up the muscles in the forearms, which control the digits of the hands. Or really good to do at the beginning of a practice if you're going to be weight bearing down into your hands, which we do in yoga, in Adho Mukha Shavasana or downward facing dog, in handstand, you know. So just give those shoulders a little bit of a roll out for me. So just allow the arms to go along for the ride. It's kind of like you're drawing circles on the sides of your hips. And then take it back the other way. Just seeing if you can make a really smooth circle with the shoulder joints. A bit crunchy going on this morning. And then just one at a time, you're going to go up and back and up and front and back and front and back and front and back. Other side, back and front and back. Just trying to keep that neck nice and relaxed. Beautiful. Just coming into all fours for me. Mass of the shoulder over the back of the mass of the hand. Knees just beyond the hip joints. Take a little inhale as you arch the back. Nose towards the pubic bone. Allow yourself to shift your weight left to right. Allow your weight to shift back into the hips. You're looking for the tension. When you're ready, gently draw the belly down. Slide the tailbone out towards the ceiling. Draw the shoulders back and pull the crown of the head out of the body. Allow the undercarriage of the body to have a really long stretch. Breathe here if you feel like you need to move, to look for the tension. And again, arching up, nose to pubic bone. Keep the breath flowing here. Don't commit to in or out. Just notice the difference of what it feels like when you breathe in or when you breathe out. And when you're ready, belly down. Lift the sit bones. It's Yoda. Draw the shoulder blades back and down. Pull the crown of the head out of the body.
Notice what it feels like when you shift and play with the weight. So again, with the hands and the weight over the wrists. Yep, he's kind of doing it a bit too much now. So, arch and sink back. All the way back, all the way back, all the way back, all the way back. Sit bones sink back onto the heels. Exhale, we're going to gaze forward. We're going to scrape the nose along the ground and come all the way into extension through the spine. So squeeze the glutes, keep the tailbone long. See if you can smile across your clavicle. Gently gaze over your left shoulder. Gently gaze over the right shoulder. Keep the breath flowing. From here, we're just going to suck up through the stomach, arch up through the back. Shift that weight all the way back towards the heels, and then reverse it. Flow over like a wave. Arch the back, shift the weight over the hands. Allow the hips to open as you open up through the chest. Now, if you're strong enough, see if you can reverse it by drawing down into Hindu. So bend, butt up, slide back. Yoda, get out of it. Stay there. Stay. Inhale here. Exhale. Scrap the nose along the ground. Come into upward dog. Reverse it. Bend the elbows. Scrape back. Tailbone up. One more time. And back. Bend the elbows. Butt up. I'm watching you. Scrape up. Curl round. So you're going to make a big circle with the body. So you scrape the nose along the ground, arch up. I'm just doing everything 3 times. And then back the other way. Around. Scrape up. Around. Scrape up. So essentially you're making a circle around your shoulder girdle. Warming up through the shoulder girdle. Sink the butt back, stretch the hands forward. Take a big breath in, just let the shoulders relax for a minute. Just walk the hands a little bit over towards the right. Keep the hands in line with the shoulders. Little inhale as you exhale, lean into that left hip. Wrap that left shoulder blade around towards the floor. If you're not quite sure what it does, see if you can pull it up towards the spine and pull it down towards the ground. See if you can distribute the stretch from your pinky finger all the way down through the shoulder girdle, down towards the left hip. And on your next breath out, you can bring yourself up, walk your hands back to the center so that you know roughly where they are on the left side. Hands in line with shoulder joints. Inhale as you arch the back, exhale as you sink back into that right hip. There's another way of going into it. You can either zigzag the hands across or you can float yourself up. So leaning into the right hip. If you're not sure what your shoulder blade does, wrap your shoulder blade up towards your spine and then pull your shoulder blade around towards the floor. For many of us, the stretch is solely in the sides of the shoulder, but see if you can back off the really strong bits of the stretch and see if you can distribute that stretch all the way from your pinky finger down through the side of the body into the lower back. I often say, make any adjustments you need to. If you were going to have to stay in that stretch for an hour, what would you have to do to make that stretch manageable, to stay there and relax in that stretch? So any adjustments you need to make, float yourself up, walk your hands back to the center again. Beautiful. Come up onto the toes. Float the knees an inch from the ground. Stay here. Get the feeling of having a really long spine. Draw up through pelvic floor and sink back. So my knees still aren't touching the ground, and then I'm going to draw back into downward dog. Have a little walk on the spot. Say hello to the calves. Good morning to the toes. So coming up onto the toes, really bending through the toe joints, floating back down into the heels. Bend at the knees, sink that butt back. Straighten out the legs, downward dog. Lift the sit bones, bend the knees, sink back, beast. Straighten out those legs. Now, like a wave, come up onto the tippy toes, round out through the back. Draw the hips down towards the ground, open up through the chest. Inhale, draw back, downward dog. Exhale, shift the weight over the hands, round out through the back, roll the hips forward, open up through the chest. Inhale, downward dog. One more time. Exhale, shift up onto the tippy toes, roll and arch through the back, shift the weight through the hands, hips come forward. Inhale, downward dog. So come up onto the tippy toes, bend the knees and drop both knees down towards the ground. Start slow with this one. We're going to do some deep ones. So just whichever foot you choose to bring forward in a hip flexor stretch, I want you to change legs. Subconsciously, our body knows what our more flexible side is, and we'll always favour that side. So just be mindful of what side we favour. I think I picked it up from doing Vinyasa series where we automatically step back with the right leg and step forward with the front leg. So I was always stretching stronger on the left side. So my left side is my looser side and this is my tighter side. Tuck your tailbone under, give your hip a bit of a wiggle. So just really sucking up through the front of that pubic bone. Flirt with drawing the hips forward. I want that concentrated stretch at the front of the hip flexor. Same hand, same knee, left hand reaches up. See if your arm can kiss your ear and then pull the shoulder down. Make a space between the arm and the ear. And as you exhale, just tip over that midline. Start to flirt with bringing the hips forward. See if you can keep that really strong sensation in that hip while you flirt. I've got short arms, so the ground's a really long way away from me, so I've got to come off my balance point and actually bring myself down onto the ground. So big reach over. Don't let that knee fall out. As you breathe out, sweep that hand all the way around, plant it on the ground. Say a little hello to a twist. Draw the opposite knee in towards the opposite armpit. Keep drawing the hips forward. And as you exhale, sweep that hand down. So both hands arrive on the inside of that foot. Lift the chest, take an inhale, let the hips relax. Have a little wiggle and find your tight line for this morning. Make sure that that foot is beyond that knee. So if you're able to give that foot a bit of a wiggle, so this foot is sitting beyond the knee. If it feels like you want to take that knee out to the side, I get a kind of congested feeling in my hip. Totally okay to let that knee draw out to the side. We're all different shapes in the hips. I don't want you to roll onto the outside lip of the foot though. That's something else. But you can let that knee just draw out to the side. If you can come down, it's going to be the same elbow coming down first, not the outside elbow. You know, head coming down to the ground is not a hip flexor stretch anymore. Lift the chest, let the hips relax, soften the belly. Take a big breath in. We're going to do a contract relax where I'm going to get you to pull your foot back towards your knee and I want you to push your back shin down towards the ground and try and pull it forward. We're going to start really slowly. So really gently, just kind of engage them. I don't want to see them moving. And just try and pull that back foot and the front foot towards each other and then give them a real red hot go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and relax. Look for the tight line again. Big breath in, drop the hips, lift the chest. One more time. Gently start the contract relax. Pull the foot back towards the knee towards the foot, and then really work as hard as you can. Hey buddy. Nice. Let's do a nerve glide. So I'm going to get you to really slowly push down into the ground with the hands, shift your weight back, point your front foot, lift your chest, and really try and pull back through that front ball socket. Breathe for me. On your next inhale, shift your weight forward. Exhale, bow. Point the toe, anchor into the big toe for me. Start to soften the chin or the back of the neck. Notice how the spine is feeling this morning and see if you can start to synchronize your breathing. You can bring it up if you want. I essentially want concave spine, so we're just trying to stretch that anterior chain. Big inhale, it could look like this, it could look like this, it could look like this. It's whatever you want it to look like. Exhale, bow forward. Pull back through the front ball socket. Anchor through the big toe. Soften chin to chest. One more time. I work in threes. Inhale if you want to reach up. Exhale, bow forwards. On the next sequence, inhale, come forward. Exhale, we're going to lift that front toe up. So this is the nerve glide. Toes come up towards the ceiling. Heel pushes down into the ground. The belly really sucks up. Shoulder blades towards the ceiling, and then start to draw the chin towards the chest, the knee or the forehead towards the knee. Don't stay there long. Roll off it. Release it for me. Inhale if you want to reach up. Exhale. Place the hands on the ground to support yourself. Pull that front toe up. Create tension along this back line. Arch the shoulders. Draw the forehead towards the knee until you feel a bit of a nerve glide. If you're one of the lucky people that doesn't have any neural tension, good for you. Have a little stretch, count to 3 and come out of it. If you have neural tension, which is that hot burny feeling anywhere along that line, I always just give my foot a bit of a flick, so I flick that femoral head across that nerve. I have a lot of neural tension, especially first thing in the morning. Inhale, one more time, reach up. Exhale, anchor yourself onto the ground, create the tension by pulling the toes up towards the ceiling, draw the forehead towards the knee. If you're still feeling really strong, you can give it another flick. Otherwise, slide that foot back for me. Beautiful. Let's do the other side. So normally when we had more time, I'd get you to go for a little walk in between those hip flexor stretches. So nice 90 degree angle between the front and the back. Tuck the tailbone under so you're getting that really concentrated stretch in the front of the hip flexor. Reach the arm up. It kisses the ear, then we pull the shoulder down. Tip over the midline. Same hand, same knee for support. And then start to flirt with drawing the hips forward. Little wiggle. We're looking for the tension. We're looking for the tight line. I have 2 cats watching me over there. Hand comes down towards the ground, so as I draw my hips forward, I'm still keeping that tuck on through the hip flexors, and then I'm just looking for the floor. It's a long way away. I'm going to come over. Inhale, exhale, get that big reach right across the rib cage, and then sweep that head all the way around. Place it on the ground. Inhale, say hello to a twist. Exhale, place both hands on the inside of the foot. Make sure, double check that this foot is beyond that knee. Have a little wiggle and look for the tight line. Lift the chest, drop the hips. Big breath in. Here he comes. Dun, 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 dun. Really gently start to contract, relax. So we're going to try and pull the front foot back towards the back knee. If I don't push my shin down into the ground, I can literally pull it along the floor. So just start really gently. Just start to contract them. Pull them towards each other. I'm pushing my back knee down into the ground to stop it from moving. Trying really hard. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Lift the chest. If it feels like that's available to you and you want to come down, you can totally come down. It's a little early for me just yet. Look for the tight line. One more, contract, relax. Pull the front foot back towards the back knee. And then work really hard. Really try and pull them together. Sorry. And then relax. Let those hips wiggle. So I'm going to place both hands either side of the knee. I'm going to anchor into my big toe and I'm going to send my tailbone back as I drop my forehead. So I'm trying to pull back through this sit bone. So we inhale, shift the weight forward. You could climb your knee if you're feeling a little tender in the hip flexors. Inhale, exhale, bow forwards. I'm going to lock these guys up if I do this again. Inhale, come up. It might look like this. It might look like this. Just synchronize your breathing for me. Exhale as you bow forwards, really anchoring to the big toe. This leg is definitely tighter this morning. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Anchor into the ground, bow, anchor into the toe. That's 3. Inhale, come up. Exhale, this time nerve glide. So anchor the hands, lift up that heel. This front leg doesn't have to be straight. Push down through the front heel, lift the toes up, create the tension. So arch the back, suck in through the stomach, draw the chin towards the chest, forehead towards the knee until you feel that neural tension. When you feel it stop, take a little inhale. Don't stay there long, come off it. Inhale, reach up. If you want to, you don't have to. Exhale. Now, again, if you're feeling that neural tension, you might just want to windscreen wiper your foot and just flick that femoral head just over the back of that nerve. It can kind of loosen that chain up there. And then one more time. Inhale as you come up. It could be fingers behind your back. It could be opening up through the chest. Exhale. Anchor, lift the toes, arch the back, forehead towards the knee. Big breath. Windscreen wiper if it's feeling a bit neurally. Beautiful. And then come up onto the toes on the back foot. Step back. Make a really strong push-up position for me. Squeeze the glutes. Suck in through the stomach. Really resist the floor for me. Again, inhale. Draw the hips down towards the ground. Smile across the chest. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale. Shift over into push-up position. Exhale, draw the hips down. Smile across the chest. Really pull those shoulders back. Gaze towards the ceiling. Exhale. So always try and synchronize your breathing. Inhale, exhale. And on your next breath forward over into push-up position, have a quick look down at your feet. Make sure they're in line with your shoulders. I want you to roll over onto the edges of your feet. I'm going to draw my hips down towards the ground. Come up onto toes. Roll your hips over down towards the ground. Don't collapse into the shoulders. You can get a bit silly with it. And just really roll from side to side. And then when you roll over onto the right edges of your feet, have a look down at your right hand, make sure it's directly underneath the mass of the right shoulder, and float the left hand up towards the ceiling. Breathe. You can keep your feet separated, or you can stack your feet on top of each other if you want to. Vasisthasana. See if you can relax the breathing. Pull the fingertips back towards you so that the pads of your hands are on the ground, so that you've got a little space between your third knuckle and the ground. Step back over and onto the other side. Have a quick look down at that left arm. Make sure it's right underneath the mass of the shoulder. Make the space between the shoulder blades wide. If you want to stack that bottom foot on top of each other, totally go for it. And then pull the fingertips back. Create a little space between the knuckles. So my fingertips are on the floor, my first joint are on the floor, my second joint's floating, and my pads are on the ground. Beautiful. And then come back over. Downward dog. Turn your right heel towards the arch of your left foot. Step your left foot 3/4 of the way down the mat. Rest your chest on your thigh and just flirt with straightening out that front leg. So bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. If your legs don't feel far enough apart, give those toes a little bit of a wiggle. We're going to play around with a couple of standing poses. So we're going to go from a bastard version of a triangle pose, over into a bit of a warrior. So I'm going to place my left hand on the ground inside my left foot. My left leg is not straight. And then I'm going to float. Get out of the way. Get out of, move. Move. God. I'm going to reach up with my right hand. So my leg's a little bit bent, but I'm going to start to straighten it. My rib cage is rotated forwards. So this is a incorrect triangle pose. But I'm going to climb up my shin, and then I can roll my rib cage back. I'm going to reach towards the ceiling. I'm going to climb my leg again. So I'm getting more anatomically correct for my triangle. I'm rotating my right rib towards the ceiling. My thighs are engaged. And then I'm going to float all the way up into my start position of my triangle pose. I'm going to reverse it by sliding my right hand down my leg, my left hand up towards the ceiling. And try and concave my ribcage back. And then I'm going to float into warrior. So I might just need to open up my feet a little bit wider. And then I'm going to come down and I'm going to see if I can get my shoulder underneath my leg. I'm going to float with one leg for a sec. And then I'm going to come back, chaturanga. Curl the toes over, downward dog. And then I'm going to rotate my left heel in towards the arch of my right foot. Step my right foot 3/4 of the way down the mat. Rest my chest on my thigh and just flirt with straightening out that leg. I'm going to put my right hand inside my right foot and I'm going to rotate my rib cage. I'm still flirting with trying to straighten that leg. I'm going to shift my hand to my shin. I'm going to lift my rib cage even more. Engage the thigh muscles as those legs start to straighten. Inhale, exhale, climb the leg a little bit more. Rotate the rib cage back a little bit more. Climb that thigh even more. Float myself up into the beginning of triangle pose. Exhale, reverse it. And float into warrior. Adjust the feet if you need to. We're trying to get that thigh parallel to the floor. The angle of the iPad is low to the ground, so it's looking like it's coming up at me, but although it seems like I have 50 cats, I actually have 2. Bring yourself down. See if you can take your shoulder underneath that front leg. Rest up onto that elbow. So bend your elbows. You can straighten that leg out. And try to lift the back leg. And then stepping back into chaturanga. That was really poor effort, but anyway. Chaturanga. Belly down, tailbone down. Come up into the fronts of the feet. Curl the toes over, downward dog. I want you to bend your knees down towards the ground. So we always know downward dog position is a really strong push-up position. So if we were to bend our knees are about 1 inch from the floor. Hands are underneath the mass of the shoulders. I'm going to turn onto the edge of my left foot. I'm going to come onto my right arm, so I'm ipsilateral or contralateral, and I'm going to kick that leg through. I'm making a straight line with that leg. I'm going to come back into lion. Inhale, exhale onto the inside of the other foot and kick that leg through. I'm going to pull that elbow back. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Back into line, knees towards the ground, inside of the foot, kick it through. Nice. Back into downward dog. The other kick through is, I'm going to step forward with the outside leg, lift the outside hand and kick through with the other foot. And step back. So outside leg, outside hand and kick through. Step back. So think outside hand, outside leg, kick through. Kick back. Oop, caught the mat there. Outside hand, outside leg. So step and then kick through. So that's wrestling. And back. Beautiful. Grab a drink. We'll do flip dog. So set yourself back up again into downward dog. Stretch the hands forward. Lift the toes up. Draw back into downward dog. Walk the toes kind of together like you're on a railway track. Come up onto tippy toes. Push away from the ground. Let the crown of the head hang. Anchor your left foot. Take your right toe straight towards the ceiling. See if you can keep your hips square, shoulders square. Then open up through that hip. Show the right ceiling your right hip. And then drop the right leg over. How far over can you bring that leg, keeping the shoulders square? Until we come all the way over. Keep the left leg straight. Reach up and over. Come back up into that three-legged dog. I'm going to pass that floating leg all the way through. Come back into three-legged dog. Bring that floating knee towards my forehead, shift my weight over onto my hands, and then plant my knee on the ground. Walk the back leg across. So instead of boring pigeon, which we kind of always do and we get really stuck into doing, and I don't ever feel like I'm ever getting any further in my pigeon, we'll do a gymnastics version of a pigeon. So I'm actually going to bring my shin parallel to the front of my mat, and I'm going to lift myself up. So I'm supported by my hands, and I'm going to bring my knee down towards the ground. So I'm just going to glide it up and down. I can't stay there on my own without my hand weight supporting me, but I'm going to glide in and out. So I'm just visiting. Couple more. Just see if it's okay to kind of visit there a little bit. As I say, probably 70-80% of my body weight is in my hands. Beautiful. I'm going to just come out of that. Just bring yourself into a little rest for a second. Let that blood flow go into the hip flexors. Thought it was going to be sunny today, but I think it's going to rain. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So it's a straight leg, a flip dog, a pass through, a back up, a knee to forehead, and then it plants on the ground. So you kind of get used to that pattern. I kind of do that pattern a lot. So come up into downward dog, we bring the toes together. Come up onto tippy toes, anchor the right foot this time, send the left toe straight towards the ceiling. See if you can make a straight line through that leg and the arms. Gently draw the right heel down towards the ground till it's comfortable. Then open the hip up towards the ceiling. Get the leg as high as you can, keeping the shoulders square. Then drop that leg over. Show the ceiling your left hip. Keep the shoulders square. Keep going until you feel like you have to let go of it. I don't think I've got enough room here. There we go, I do. Big inhale here. Exhale, come back into three-legged dog. So up it goes, high as you can. And then pass that leg through. Come onto the inside arch of the other foot. Pass it through. Little breath here. Exhale, back up into dog. Three-legged. Floating knee comes towards the forehead. Shift the weight over the hands. Plant the knee on the ground. So there's your half pigeon. If you want to stay in this, you totally can. If you want to do the gliding gymnastics version, you can do that too. So remember, shin goes parallel to the front of the mat. So measure that shin on the mat. Lift yourself up, move your back leg across. Stay really supported through the hands. Glide the knee down towards the ground. So you're gliding in and out, it's a dynamic stretch. Exhale as you're drawing into that stretch. I can't even get my knee on the ground. Nice. Bring yourself all the way down onto the ground for me and just prop up onto your elbows for me. We've stretched hip flexors, we've stretched quads, we've stretched glutes, we've stretched torso, we've stretched our spine. We essentially are almost ready to go into back bend, and we can do some handstands as well. So I'm just going to drop my rib cage down towards the ground. I'm going to squeeze my glutes together. I'm going to pull the crown of my head up towards the ceiling. If it feels comfortable, prop up onto the hands. If it feels comfortable, bend the legs as well. Notice where you're feeling it in that chain. If it's kicking into the lower back, we haven't stretched psoas enough. If it's kicking into the fronts of the knees, we haven't stretched quads enough. So your body will tell you what you need to do. It never tells a lie, the old body. Now again, if you've been feeling a bit of congestion in the lower back, pull yourself back. Stretch out the lower back. Come up and sit on the heels and the sit bones for me. Tuck your tailbone under and lower yourself back. See if you can really pull your pubic bone back and just squeeze the knees together and stretch the quads out a little bit more. The goal is not to get the crown of the head down towards the ground just yet. It's more about getting that lower back towards the floor. If that's comfortable for you and you're used to doing these kinds of stretches and your knees are okay, roll the calf muscle out, wiggle the feet wider and bring the sit bones down onto the ground. If your knees say anything to you, don't do it. From there, tuck your tailbone under. See if you can draw your lower back down towards the ground. Take it really slowly. If you can rest on the elbows. Again, it's not about puffing that chest up. See if you can really pull that lower back down towards the ground. And again, if you're feeling any discomfort in the knees, don't do it. If it's comfortable for you to come down, bring all your attention towards stretching out the quads and drawing the lower back down towards the ground. If that's not available, just stay propped up on the elbows. Just giving my knees a bit of a breather. And then floating up into half camel. So knees are in line with hip joints. Still keep that real zip up through the front of the pubic bone. And do the matrix game where you just float back onto your shins for me. You really get that sense where the shins are going to pull you out of this pose. So I'm going to float back and see if I can feel my ankles. Again, I've got really short arms. T-Rex loves chaturanga. And I'm going to float back and find my left heel. When I've found my left heel, I can really draw my hips forward and open up through my chest. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, you can reach up. So gaze down towards the heel and focus on the twist to start with. I'm trying to get that rotation in my upper back. And then I'm going to flirt with what it feels like to take it a little bit around, like in a rolling bridge. Hold that for as long as what's comfortable. When you're ready to come out, push into the fronts of the shins, allow the crown of the head to be the last thing to come up, and bring yourself over into recovery. Rest the lower back. Have a bit of a wiggle. I very rarely do a backbending series on the ground without the hammocks because the hammocks are so helpful in backbending that I don't often find myself doing this series on the ground without my hammock. Float back again, look for that other heel. Once you've found that heel, anchor into the heel, squeeze through the glutes, open up through the chest, big inhale, exhale. Gaze down at the heel on the floor, focus on the rotation through the upper back, and then just flirt with what it feels like in the shoulder girdle and in the rib cage to float it behind. Hold that for as long as what's comfortable for you, whether you feel like you want to move through it, whether you feel like you want to hold it and focus on the breathing. Make sure the shins are the ones that bring you up, that the crown of the head is the last thing to come out, and that you rest and come over into recovery and allow the lower back some blood flow. It's always a challenge to get vertebral, to get even segmentation in the back. So we're not compressing into the lower back, we're actually trying to get as much movement as we can in the upper back and not in the lumbar. And the way we do that is by stabilizing through the stomach and the pelvic floor and controlling that extension. So opening up through the front of the chest. There's not a lot of back bending in the upper back. We'll do full camel if it feels okay. If not, just stay down in yang pose, the yin pose, and just keep that lower back just rested. So we're going to float back. We're looking for both the ankles this time. So as soon as we found them, we float back. Anchor through the heels, draw the hips forward and open up through the chest. Big inhale. Exhale, gaze behind you. Keep squeezing through the glutes. Breathe through the front of the stomach. Keep the mouth open. Whenever you're ready to lift up and out of that, push into the front of the heels. Crown is the last thing to come forward, and then rest down. Heels onto bottom. We're not far off doing a full back bend. We haven't stretched out triceps. So to do that, I'm going to get you to come up onto your toes and just rest on those toe joints for me. Stay here for as long as what's comfortable. If it gets too much during this stretch, just come down onto the fronts of the feet, or just take some weight off them. You could just lift up onto your knees and take the weight out of the stretch in the toe bones. Or you could come down onto the fronts of the feet until you're ready, and then come back up again. Reach your right hand as high as you can up towards the ceiling, and then drop your right hand down between the shoulder blades. Take your other hand and really draw that elbow towards the back of the head. It wants to pull your head forward, so push the back of the head into the elbow, and then my rib cage wants to stick out. So drop into the tailbone, connect at the rib cage, and just side bend. So take that tricep stretch down into the lats. I'm going to go into flexion. I'm going to tuck my tailbone under and bend forwards. And I'm going to go into extension. So I'm going to lift. Go flexion, extension, and see if I can really straighten that head up. I'm going to reach the other hand around and see if I can reach my other hand. I'm going to just edge my fingers together. I'm going to try and draw my elbows towards the midline. Drop the tailbone, connect at the ribs. And just breathe. The toe joints feel okay, stay there, or just lift the weight out of them, or you can come down onto the fronts of the feet. But if it's tolerable, stay there. And then slowly reach the hands apart. And same thing on the left side. So I'm going to reach up as high as I can, drop my hand down between my shoulder blades, grab my other hand and see if I can just draw that elbow back behind my head. I'm blocking my head against the forearm of my other hand to try and pull that joint and open it up, that shoulder joint. My toes are getting sore. So I'm going to connect at the ribs and pull my tailbone down, draw my head back. I'm going to glide into flexion. Big breath in. I'm going to go into extension. I'm going to breathe out. Inhale into flexion. Exhale into extension, and just try and pull that elbow out. I'm going to reach around, see if I can grab my fingertips with my other hand. I can't on this side, but I'm going to pretend. See if I can draw my elbows towards the midline. Just going to breathe. Allow my right shoulder to open. And then I'm going to slowly release, reaching those hands out to the side. Give those shoulders a bit of a roll. We're about 40, 50 minutes in. So we could essentially either go full back bending or we could start maybe doing some handstands. We've sort of done everything towards back bending, so I guess maybe we should do a back bend and leave the handstand for a handstand. Handstand day. Come down onto your mat for me. I'm going to go the other way. So lower yourself all the way down. Bring your heels really close to your bottom so you can feel your heels. Take a little inhale as you exhale. I'm going to get you to come up into a bridge. And do Barbie hands. So just prop your thumbs underneath the back of the hips. And I'm going to walk my shoulders down. I'm going to imagine squeezing a ball between my knees. I'm going to anchor into my heels and squeeze through my glutes. Just open up through my chest. Just going to stay here. Now, you can either come down for a break, or you can loop your hands together and walk your shoulders even further down towards your heels, squeezing through the glutes. I'm going to release my hands. I'm going to walk my shoulders down. I'm going to lower myself down onto my toes, and I'm articulating down through my spine really slowly. Tailbone is the last thing to come down. I'm going to grab my knees and just give my lower back a bit of a massage. And if you want to go up into back bend, we start with heels really close to the bottom. So I can feel my heels with my hands. I'm going to take my hands and fold them all the way back towards my ears. I'm going to take a little bridge first. So I'm going to scoop up through the tailbone and I'm going to prop up onto the top of my head. Inhale here and exhale, push up into my hands. I'm really trying to straighten my arms as much as I can. And you can hold that for as long as what's comfortable. Then you can come back down onto the back of the neck, roll back down through the spine, hug the knees towards the chest. I didn't stay there very long. Allow your whole body to roll over to one side so that your knees are on top of each other. I'm going to anchor my knees with my right hand. I'm going to take a big inhale, and as I exhale, I'm going to reach away with my other arm. Let's see if I can just let my spine really relax and get a nice long rotation through it. Gently start to draw that other shoulder towards the ground as much as what's possible. And then I'm going to lift up that top hand, grab that knee, roll myself onto my back, hug my knees close, roll all the way over onto the other side so that my knees are stacked together. My other hand's going to anchor onto my knees and keep them together. Inhale, exhale as I reach away with that other arm. Let the spine relax. Slowly start to let that shoulder draw towards the ground. Beautiful. Lift that hand up over. I'm just going to roll it onto my knees. Beautiful. Maybe we'll keep the handstands to next time. I've got to race off to work now, but that's around about an hour. Lots of feedback, let me know. I know this sounds terrible, and excuse the cats. So, in Lakesh Alakan, namaste. Have a really good day.